Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Droid Life Show special edition, if you will. Today we're talking Motorola, Lenovo. We also got some Google other news going on with Samsung and stuff. But the big deal of the week is this Lenovo-Motorola deal. Google offering Motorola onto Lenovo. And we didn't have a show Wednesday. And, of course, when we canceled the show, this news dropped. So we wanted to get in, talk about it. This is a big deal, especially after Motorola and the year they just had. We sort of all gave the Moto X our phone of the year tag, and so we're kind of wondering what's going on, what's the future going to be like, all that good stuff. So thanks for joining us on a Friday afternoon. I'm your host, Kellen. With me, Tim and Eric. Say hi real quick, guys.
Hey guys, Tim here.
Hey, I'm Eric.
So let's just do initial reactions. Lenovo is going to at least attempt to purchase Motorola from Google for $2.91 billion. And, the world kind of exploded on Wednesday when this news dropped. We all didn't know what to think. First it was a rumor, then it became official within an hour or so. So, yeah, let's just get your guys' initial reaction when you heard the news.
Man, I was shocked. I remember where I was. I was at my desk. And that day will live in infamy. But no, it was, it was kind of it was a shocker, but at the same time it was like, okay, yeah, it looks like it was more of like a false start for Google wanting to get into the hardware game. I think Motorola came with more problems they had maybe anticipated. And so they were looking to get those patents and offload, essentially. And, they had already offloaded the set-top box, department that they had. So I think they were already just trying to break it down, really, to what they wanted. And it still just wasn't there. So, but, to sum up how I felt, I was disappointed, really, because I was starting to really like Motorola. I'm hoping that not too much changes for the company itself, but it probably will, and that's kind of a bummer. So, that's how I felt.
Eric, what were you thinking?
I kind of clocked out for the day, and I was out running errands, and we were at dinner, me and my roommates. And my roommate just scrolling through his Twitter is like, yo, it looks like Google just sold Motorola. I was like, there's no way. Like, I was just in the middle of eating food and just, I couldn't believe it. And I messaged you guys, started talking about it, saw that it wasn't, a fake. I did not see it coming whatsoever.
I don't think anyone did, right?
Yeah.
When the report first broke, I think it was Reuters that had that, and they said Lenovo's gonna buy Motorola, and we all went, no way. And then a report out of China popped up saying the same thing. Then I think TechCrunch dropped a report that said the same thing. So all these sources, started flooding news as an airplane flies overhead. So it just started flooding out, and then I think we were expecting a press conference the following day, maybe. And anyway, then the press releases came out. Motorola issued one, Google issued one, then there was one on Google's investor site, and then Lenovo, obviously, all at the same time. Then there was a press conference call with Lenovo to talk about it. And it came out of nowhere, then all of a sudden it happened, and we all were sitting there going, what is going on? What's going to happen to Motorola? So we did a bullet breakdown of some of the main points. So I'll just run through a couple of those just to sort of keep everyone up. So first of all, Tim, I think you were saying this, the financial side of it's not really as bad as I think everyone thinks for Google. So they bought Motorola for what? Was it $12.5 billion? Yep. So $12.5 billion, but Motorola had $3 billion in cash. They also had a couple billion in some sort of tax deferment or something like that. I'm not exactly sure what it was. And so then they sold the set-top box for a couple of billion. And so really they were only into Motorola for like $4 or $5 million if you look at it that way.
It was
so
like $6.9 billion was essentially what they purchased Motorola for.
Okay. So they valued the patents then that they bought for $5.5 billion, and they sold the company then, or at least the handset business, or going to sell it to Lenovo for $2.91, and they're keeping the patents, which they value at $5.5 billion. So they didn't really walk out of there with too bad of a deal if you look at it that way.
They bought all those patents for $1 billion essentially, which is damn
crazy.
Good.
It's crazy, right? Even though none of them have really held up in court yet, they're still probably worth enough, right? I mean, there's still some value there. Obviously, they sold the handset business and kept the patents. There's still some value there. So a financial side, that's about what it looks like. Google didn't really take much of a hit, if any. So let's see. Lenovo is going to license the patent portfolio, though, that Google's keeping. Lenovo intends to keep the distinct brand identity, is how they put it in the press release. Let's see, what else is going on? Sorry, I'm just running through the bullet points to see what's big. The big thing, though, for Lenovo is they want to take Motorola and make it global, right? So Lenovo has a phone business. They don't sell anything in the U.S., so this is sort of like their U.S. arm. But it sounds like they potentially plan to take the name of Motorola and then branch it out globally because it's a better recognized phone brand name than Lenovo is. Yep, see Eric. So the goal is for Lenovo to become this new global smartphone beast, right? They're already quoted as saying they want to take down Samsung and Apple and all of that stuff. Could potentially happen, I guess, way down the road. Let's see what else. So Larry Page was quoted in his sort of press note as saying, it's business as usual for us right now with Motorola because obviously these things take time to get approval. So I'm really excited about 2014's Motorola lineup is essentially what he said. So business as usual for 2014. Motorola's still under Google for now, and they've got products coming. We don't know what's going to happen with Moto Maker in the future or the Texas plant and all of that stuff. Lenovo said we'll evaluate that, the cost and all of that stuff, which I would assume means the Texas plant is going to get shut down eventually. Obviously, for now, it's still open. Yeah, that's sort of a breakdown of it. Did I miss anything that you guys can think of in sort of the bullets? Well, Larry Page said this helps them to sort of drive innovation across the Android ecosystem, basically, so they don't have to worry about building hardware anymore. We also sort of think it probably is so that they aren't threatening other hardware manufacturers anymore by owning one of the competitors. Yeah. So that's kind of an overview.
Yeah, good overview. Yeah, I mean, what else to say? I just, there's not much transparency yet. I mean, once the deal goes through, I mean, it still has to be approved, and once it is, hopefully we, get an idea about what Lenovo's plan is for Motorola. Basically, I mean, like what their real plan is and their game plan. Not just like a broad, they're going to try and get the U.S. market or take down Samsung, which is impossible. But
right.
Yeah.
Well, so if you had to make a prediction, is Motorola the name sticking around? Or do you think Lenovo will get rid of it?
I think Motorola itself is the name, still holds weight with consumers. So I think you're going to want to hold on to that, unless they just continue to lose and lose and lose.
Right.
They could have done big things with the Moto X. I mean, we as the industry liked it, but unfortunately it wasn't as popular with consumers as I think because you're messing with Samsung's territory and marketing to consumers and all that, and no one has that kind of money, like billions to spend on that. So I think Motorola, the name will stick around, yeah, at least for the time being, maybe for the next year or two, and yeah, we'll see. I'm kind of interested more like in the Droid line, like what's going to happen there and blah, 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 what Verizon's going to be doing and all this fun stuff. So droids are important.
Yeah, I mean, is it going to be Motorola, a Lenovo company? Right now it's Motorola, a Google company. Is it going to be that for a little while until? I guess in the U.S. while Lenovo makes PCs and they're leading the whole PC industry in sales and all that stuff, I don't necessarily see them putting a smartphone out in the U.S. and having people flock to it. If it was a Motorola phone,
it wouldn't
potentially.
Yeah, exactly. It couldn't be a Lenovo branded phone. It would need to be Motorola branded. I mean, because that name needs to stick around. It's important still, and in walkie-talkies too. And yeah, Lenovo. I mean, Lenovo has tried their hand at Android phones before, and it just
and they were terrible.
They look cool, but I mean the way they operated was just jank. It was like a nightmare of jank, and
a nightmare
so I think
of jank.
So Motorola, I hope, sticks around, and I hope we see plenty more. I was telling Kellen, I was like, maybe this means that Google can, call on Motorola to make the Nexus, since they won't be playing favorites anymore or something like that, because I still want to see a Moto Nexus.
Mm-hmm.
And I think since the OG Droid days, I think they've needed to make a Nexus branded device. So I hope we still get to see it. And I'm more worried about the Motorola employees in America, because we know that it does cost it costs a lot of money to operate in America, and I think with a factory, hand making these Moto X's in Texas, and you have the corporate office in Illinois, I think maybe after time Lenovo might find that it's actually quite expensive, and it's easy to lose, profits when you have an operation in America. So what if they just bring that overseas? They can already, margins go up, and more money's coming in. So,
well, and the international units that they're selling now are assembled in China, like the ones in the UK. So they've already got plants building these things overseas. It's just the U.S. ones, were made in Texas. So they could easily do it, right? Yeah.
Right. There's always going to be plants overseas to make phones. So that's never going to change. But it was nice to have a U.S. Marketed product built in the U.S. And I think we as Americans, we stress, we love our country so dearly, which is great. But it's just really hard and expensive for these U.S. made products, especially consumer electronics. With the game changes so often, I mean, it's just the name of the game. It's too expensive. So we'll see.
I'm disappointed that the most exciting thing that I've seen in this industry in Moto Maker, that's happened in the past couple of years, is probably not going to stick around too much longer.
Right.
Like, that was so awesome, and they were moving in the right direction. It was just like last week we were talking about all the stuff that they could do going down the road with Moto Maker, and now that's, probably all out the window. It's really disappointing.
It was it was really weird. Google injected, some of their own DNA into Motorola. Like with their corporate people, designers, and so it just I don't know what those employees are doing, if they're just going to go back to Google or something like that, but it just felt like Google was really ready to invest in Motorola, to just totally rebrand, do a full 180 with the company, and then to us, it just looked like they kind of gave up, and they were just like, man, we're going to back away now and let Lenovo take over.
It just seemed like they were doing such good things. I know Motorola's still, so Q4 earnings were yesterday, right, for Google, and Motorola lost another like $300 million or something for the company. And so that part of it obviously is not good, but it just felt like they were starting to do some really cool things. Like you said, Eric, Moto Maker and a phone and the whole made or assembled in the U.S., designed. It says on the bottom of this thing, designed and assembled in the U.S., and that's going to go away. There's no way Lenovo is going to keep that Texas plant open. It just doesn't make sense cost-wise when they can do the thing in China for probably, a fraction of the cost and then ship it over. So that could be gone, although maybe Moto Maker will stick around, but I can't imagine they can get a device to you in, the 4 days or whatever.
4 days?
Yeah, when we ordered Tim's walnut version, that was a Monday or a Tuesday. Can't remember if that was a Monday or Tuesday. But we got it. We got it on that Friday. It really did take 4 days, and we had the device. So it's kind of sad to see. It seemed like Google had poured all this effort into, like you said, the executive team. Like Dennis Woodside, who knows what's going to happen to that guy? Obviously, he's going to have amazing jobs for the rest of his life, but is he going to stick around with Motorola? I can't really see any reason why he would, but maybe he will. But this also maybe gets rid of a hardware manufacturer out from under Google, and they got their patents, which they apparently wanted all along. I don't know. It just felt like such a googly kind of company, and now they're just another Chinese company.
It wasn't though until they bought it, and then you were like, "Oh, this totally makes sense." They did seem very googly. But that's because again, they injected that DNA. They rebranded with that shiny little, circle logo and stuff. It had nice multicolors. It was like, this is kind of googly. But then before that, it was I thought Motorola was like black and red and very kind of corporate suited. And they were like businessmen. But then they were all kind of like young and hip and on Twitter and doing all these cool things.
Marketing campaign was cool.
Yeah, and then their boxes were all, shiny, and they got the nice colors. It was very colorful, bright, and inviting. unlike the Droid brand, when it's all blacked out and mechanic and bionic and very uninviting. So they changed a lot. So we're going to see if they continue on with that. I think that's the path that'll sell. If Lenovo wanted to keep Moto just the way it is, keep going down that path is where the younger generation, they're the kids with the money. A lot of these kids have money these days, and they want to buy these shiny phones that have bright colors and all that. So, yeah.
I just don't think this comes off reassuring to any other Android, manufacturer.
You don't think so?
At least from their eyes, how can they look at Google at this point and say, oh, we trust these guys when they just sold off Motorola like that, and then it seems to me it seems like if you're not Samsung right now, then if any other company that wasn't Samsung was in Motorola's position, they would be out the door, being sold to Lenovo.
Well, I think there's a couple of things going on there. So I think Google got rid of Motorola because they don't want to necessarily be in the hardware business, and Motorola was losing tons of money for them. But they also got rid of them so that the other manufacturers aren't threatened by them. They're the ones making the OS, this open source OS. And if they have a hardware manufacturer under them, they've been, ever since they bought Motorola, they've been answering the question of, are you playing favorites with Motorola? So that whole thing they probably don't want to do. Now they don't have to do that. Now they can just say, we're making Android better for everyone. So I think in that sense, it's a good thing that they got rid of Motorola. The bad news comes in a topic that we're going to try to dive into later, and that's their new deal with Samsung. Because now they seem to be like this with Samsung, with this new patent deal, and Samsung apparently dialing skins and apps and all this stuff back. Now that, if I was LG, I would be a little worried about. Like, why is Google now so buddy-buddy with Samsung? So I think there's a couple things there. I think getting rid of Motorola is probably good for Android as a whole, just because it now sort of brings it back to that level playing field of no longer playing favorites potentially. But this new deal with Samsung might sort of change that, and if I was another Android OEM, I'd be a little scared.
But that's the thing. We have to tag that word potentially on there. Nobody knows if they were playing favorites. Google or Motorola was still losing all this money, even though they were supposedly working, getting extra favor by Google. Everything that I saw come out of Motorola since they've been under Google's, thing has been good for Android. And now, me personally, I have zero faith in Lenovo being able to continue Motorola down the path that they've been. I can't see it because, like we were saying earlier, they completely changed how Motorola comes across to its consumers. It's very American, centric, young generation, but Lenovo's not committed to the Texas plant, so things are going to have to change. Yeah. I don't know that this was best for Android going down the road, because I feel like Motorola was a nice little comeback story there, and now it's just pushing it out the door.
I think on the exterior, it probably was a nice little comeback story, but the numbers weren't lying. Motorola was still tanking.
Yeah,
and that's very quickly.
The whole thing comes across very just business-like,
Well, it is business. Google's a business. They're for profit,
At the end of the day, it has to come down to the money, but it's just, it just doesn't feel like it should have been that way.
It's not very American, I'll tell you that.
In other words, there is no Moto money coming our way because they have no money to give.
Damn it, they canceled our Moto checks.
Yeah, we're going to have to rely on HTC and their money.
Lenovo, HTC has $0. You saw their CES booth.
What booth? There was no booth.
Okay, I'm sorry. You saw their Pepcom table, yeah.
Poor guys.
So I guess I'm kind of with you, Eric, in the fact that I don't know right now that I trust Lenovo to keep Motorola as is, and that sucks because I really liked this new Motorola. With that said, Lenovo did take the ThinkPad, and they've done some amazing things there. And I don't want to say they came out of nowhere and took over the PC industry, but in a sense they kind of have, right? They sort of just took that and have ran with it. Actually, I think my brother just bought a Lenovo laptop not that long ago. But they've proven that they can take things and make really great products. I still don't know that their name associates well with smartphones. So
or
they
just
keep Motorola as is for a while.
Market,
Yeah.
I still, I'm a tech savvy guy, but I like to keep myself, I think that I keep myself classified as like a general consumer when it comes to most things.
Mhm.
And when I hear the word Lenovo, I don't, nothing good comes to mind for me.
No bells ring.
No.
I would have to agree. When I hear Lenovo, well, so when my brother, since I brought him up, he was buying a new laptop, and I said, Lenovo's are actually some of the best rated. They're kind of leading the charge right now. It was the only reason I recommended that. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't consider them for a
I would have
computer
said
or a phone.
maybe
or,
a MacBook Pro.
Yeah, he
I
wanted
still feel like-
Windows. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like if I was going to go for a PC, I would go like Asus or Sony or Samsung, like those Series 9s or whatever they got now. I haven't looked at a PC in forever. But
Yeah.
I like their laptops. I've never tried a Lenovo. I felt like everyone has like a ThinkPad, with the little red button in the middle. I'm like,
Right.
what the heck is that thing?
Oh yeah, those
But,
like back in the day.
Those little mouse or whatever,
Oh,
yeah.
God.
And it just wasn't my style. But that's because I'm a young pup.
Well, they
And-
were a big corporate computer for a while. Now they've sort of
course.
transformed over to consumer. But yeah, so who knows what'll happen? I think the big thing to remember is what Larry Page said. He said 2014 is business as usual. These things take time. So if you want to buy a Motorola product,
Still
and you
go
like
for
what
it.
they're doing, yeah, this year we still should see really cool Moto products, just like we saw last year, because they already have their roadmap. It's already done. It's just like when Google bought Motorola. We had to go through a year and a half of Sanjay Jha's garbage. And, we kept saying, I hope this is the last Sanjay Jha inspired phone, and it just took forever. Yeah, and then we
Yeah,
finally
but we-
got it this year. So it could be 2.5, 3 years maybe before we see Lenovo's influence on Moto.
At that
Maybe
point,
not
though,
distribution. What's
we
that?
had like the hope of something better, though. We were like, oh, Google's going to come in and make something good, and then they did. But I was telling you this earlier.
Not according to
when we were
Motorola.
talking. Like, I kind of see that as a backhanded compliment. Like, Larry Page, oh yeah, Motorola's stuff is going to be really good this year, but it wasn't good enough for us to keep them. We're still selling them. So the whole thing just way too business-like. And
Well, you always have to talk up whatever you're doing. Like, no
I know.
matter whether if they're going to stick with Motorola, they're going to be like, yeah, because Motorola's making some sweet products. Oh, but we're selling them, and here's why it's a great idea.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's all Larry. He's just I hate
I know,
Larry.
he's got to play the part.
Larry
Larry's
Bear.
probably a genius, but at the same time, there's a board of directors or whatever, an executive team, and so a CEO always kind of acts like as a puppet. To play the role that he is given, and that is to be the face of, a company. Well, in Larry's case, he can't even spare an hour for a earnings call, but that's
Seriously.
besides the point.
So Brandon in the chat brings up a good
Brandon.
point. Motorola needs to live on for Android's sake. Like, that's a good
Yeah.
point. What if the name Motorola doesn't exist anymore,
we still got
and we look
Samsung,
back and we're like the
HTC.
Motorola OG Droid? What was
Yeah.
that? Where did that come from?
HTC is probably going to disappear here pretty soon. What are we going to say then? I mean, they made the Nexus One, like
I know, but
Somebody's probably gonna buy HTC.
Android wouldn't be where it was if it wasn't for Motorola. That's all.
This is true. This is true.
and Android wouldn't be where it is now if it wasn't for Samsung. I mean, I think there's always a torch carrier. I mean,
Yeah.
there's going to be someone new next year, the year following. I think it's just evolving. I mean, it's so young still.
It is.
I mean, we're only a few years into this thing.
We are. I just think the sad thing is that Motorola is this American company
Yes.
that was doing cool things, and they were owned by another American company who does really cool things.
Totally.
And now we thought they were coming back, even though they were still losing money. And now they're going to be a Chinese company. Probably see all of their U.S. offices and everything shut down eventually. And they said the Chicago HQ is going to stay open, but come on,
For
for
now.
how long? Yeah, for how long?
Be like downsized or something.
So it's like one of our babies. I mean, Motorola invented the original cell phone, did they not, or something like that? So, like the fact that they're this American company that's pioneered all this stuff, and now they're going to be owned by Lenovo.
and they don't even have all the patents anymore that like.
No, they don't. Google owns all that
Oh
stuff.
my gosh, it's a shame. I mean,
Yeah.
I understand that it had to happen. I get all the bottom line stuff. I'm just
Of course.
disappointed.
Well, if you want to look towards the future, I mean, then there was that article that I wrote up yesterday, which came from TechCrunch, I think, and it looks like Google was going to invest any resource that Nest wants into making hardware, whether that be smartphones or whatever type of consumer electronic. I mean, that's really exciting because you have a whole design team that worked on iPods, iPhones for Apple, and those are great products. Like, no one's going to down talk an iPhone and say that it wasn't, a great product. So I think it's really exciting to the team that Google has now with a clean slate and no huge burden like a money pit as Motorola was. I mean, you can just start fresh with a new engineer team straight from Apple, and I think you're gonna. And they have all the patents now. I think Google made a pretty good buy with Nest and a good sale with Motorola. While unfortunate as it is, and I love Motorola,
Yeah.
I just think it's probably going to be for the best. Don't think that Google doesn't have an awesome plan or something like that. I mean, come on.
Well,
I hope they have an awesome plan.
Going
I don't know.
forward, if the
Blair Bear's in charge.
if the Lenovo CEO watches us like we know Dennis Woodside did,
Oh yeah, totally.
like I will be more than happy to hop on Motorola if like Lenovo comes out guns blazing and just like blows the doors off everything. I'd be A-okay with that.
If it's an awesome phone, I don't care who makes it. Like
at this point, I'm just very skeptical that that's
don't
going
matter.
to happen.
Oh well, you can be skeptical all you want, but nothing is confirmed. So who knows what's going to happen? I think it's a really exciting time. When Google says that this is the best move for the Android ecosystem, then damn it, I'm going to believe them until they prove me wrong. Like until I should believe them.
That's the thing, because at least from the outside, when we were looking at it, like the Android ecosystem was doing great as it was, but then Google said, yeah, but we're not making any money, so we have to get rid of this. So they can say that it's best for the Android ecosystem, but their actions say that the bottom line is more important. That's what it keeps coming back to for me.
Yeah, it's like you got investors to please, But I think Android hasn't let me down yet. I think it's still moving forward in a very good direction. KitKat was a fantastic release, and I'm looking forward to 4.5 or whatever, 5.0. Like, I'm still looking forward to the next version of Android. I'm going to be disappointed when a new version of Android comes out and I'm like, oh crap, this is either a step backwards or they like partner with Samsung to make like a combined OS or some crap. Like, the moment they move away from open source or anything like that, then you can start worrying. But I think for now, I think we're still on the right
I'm just
track.
a little disappointed. I'm still more.
I know you are. No, me too, man. Moto.
A little bit of a funk.
We just need to start the countdown. I think we need to just put something in the sidebar of the site that's the countdown to the first Lenovo Moto phone, so that we know and we can stop paying attention to them. I know that sounds bad. I should give them a fair shot.
Yeah, we all should. We all should.
Yeah,
so they haven't. I mean, really, I've never owned a Lenovo smartphone, an Android smartphone. I know that there were other people. I've been like hearing about this all week. Lenovo's made Android phones, and they never got updated, and blah blah blah. Or like they just bought Motorola, so they're gonna downgrade the Moto X to 4.1.1 or whatever like that. There's plenty of jokes going around, but they haven't done wrong by me yet. So until they do, I'm gonna accept them with open arms and say, let's see what you got. And it still has to get approved. So
this is gonna make me go back and make sure that my my Droid 1, my Droid 2, and my Droid 3 that I have are,
those are
nicely
collector's
cleaned
items.
off. Yeah, they're gonna.
I was just it was weird. I opened my desk and the first thing that there was the OG Droid, and I was like, oh baby, look at this thing.
It's a sign, Tim. It was like, Tim, come on.
Sad days. In related news, though, Project Aura staying with Google, and the Advanced Tech and Projects Group, or whatever they're called, which want to put tattoos on your neck that are security things and vitamins in your stomach or whatever. Yeah. So that whole group, the Advanced Tech Project Group, whatever they're called for Motorola, they're sticking with Google. So Project Aura is part of that, I believe. So that stuff's not going to Lenovo. So who knows? That could be pushed forward, accelerated with Google's funding behind it and all that stuff. And that's kind of the stuff that Google seems to like to do, right? Those sort of moonshot projects, if you will. So that's staying, and we should see something hopefully come out of that.
Yeah.
But yeah. Do you guys want to talk the Samsung Google stuff that kind of floated around, which was either the same day or the day before the Motorola stuff?
I think it was the day before.
Was it the day before?
Okay,
I think so.
Oh, sorry. I thought we already kind of like gave a broad overview.
Oh yeah. So Samsung and Google signed a cross-licensing patent deal that is 10 years or something, I think. And so they're giving each other access to their patents so they can defend the Android ecosystem or whatever. And shortly after that deal was announced, and that's actually official, a report out of Recode said that Google and Samsung got together at CES after Samsung unveiled their new Pro Galaxy tablets with their magazine UX and all this stuff, right? And apparently Google wasn't all that happy with what they were doing in terms of the look of that, plus all of their apps, how all of their apps have essentially just been copies of Google apps. And so they had this big meeting, and apparently they hashed out a bunch of stuff, and Samsung has agreed to maybe either dial back all of their apps and start promoting Google apps instead, like all the Play services, things like that. And potentially even dial back their skin, though we're not really sure how that's going to work, but maybe even see the disappearance of the brand new magazine UX already. Obviously, if that stuff happens, it won't be for a while. Again, these companies have roadmaps. They can't just up and change things. But those tablets could be the only one with that magazine UX. Either way, it sounds like Samsung and Google have made up. It's just interesting that this report came out hours before Google sells off Motorola. Some interesting stuff. So does that mean that, and I kind of mentioned this earlier, does that mean that other OEMs should be worried now that Samsung and Google are so buddy-buddy and Samsung's obviously the leader? Or is that a good thing that maybe Samsung devices won't have such terrible UIs and apps and all that stuff? I don't really know. What do you guys think about this whole Samsung-Google sort of situation that's come out?
There's like part of me that's like, oh, thank God, TouchWiz, like just tone it all down, like all of your crazy apps and all this bloatware and crap. But at the same time, this is Android. This is open. If Samsung wants to make their own products and push them alongside Google Play and Google's products, they, I think, should have the right to do that without Google saying, whoa. Again, with that being said, Samsung has kind of made Android what it is today, so widely used and so widely popular among people alongside the iPhone. So I think you have to give Samsung some credit, something that they're doing. I don't know if like Chat On and all this other these apps I never use is what's making them popular, but I know for sure that there are people using those apps, and it's just I think they should. I know. I'm sorry, I do too. Insane. But I think at the same time they should be allowed to put whatever the heck they want on their phones, as long as Google allows me the right through Android to disable them, which I can, and I do every time. I think Samsung should be able to do kind of whatever they want, because if it's selling, then whatever. I mean,
so that's the thing, right? So Samsung must be giving something up, or they're getting something in return, right?
In return.
So if they're partnering now and they've put in all this effort to create all these apps that essentially mimic Google apps, right?
Yeah.
They've created this UI that they think is awesome that I don't think anyone else does.
Well,
Google said, please tone it back. Please promote Google Play services. They must be getting something in return, right? And so that's where I say should, LG, HTC's done anyway. Should LG and who else is left? Motorola is now gone. HTC's gone.
Well, HTC still needs to be stopped.
Sony.
Their senses.
Yeah. Okay, so we have LG and Sony are basically all. Is that all that's left? Huawei.
There's Huawei, ZTE.
What is going on in Android? What is going on? All right. Anyway, so that's going on with Samsung and Google. I don't really know what to think about it, other than I just hope that means TouchWiz isn't crap anymore and they get rid of all their apps. If that happens, promote all the Google Play services you want. So
I think, it's good. I want to say it's good, but at the same time, I feel that Samsung should be allowed to do whatever they want. So
I think it's like a subtle nod towards all of the manufacturers as well. Like if Google, everybody knows that Samsung's the big kid on the block, and if Google can get Samsung to agree to this,
bow down a little bit. Why is Samsung always standing up big and tough to Google?
Well,
it's like Google should smack
dancing
you down
around
like
on Broadway and shit.
You are exactly. So
we can guarantee if Samsung did something, LG is immediately going to do the same thing afterwards. So they already dropped LG right off the list.
Yeah, the UI on.
Where was the LG press release that said the hour before that said we have partnered with Google, patents or something? Yeah.
Their UI is so crazy similar to TouchWiz. It's not even funny anymore.
It's prettier.
At first, it's prettier. It has its comes and goes, but I think they're both terrible. The G Flex only runs Android 4.2, man. So like you can't even do the 2-finger pull down on the G Flex for like system toggles. you still have to scroll through like a big list on the top.
Look at that thing. It's bigger than your head.
Oh yeah,
It's
but it's perfectly contoured.
Do you guys want to talk G-Flex and move out of the Samsung
Yeah,
stuff?
I can see the pixel all the way from
Yeah.
here.
I forgot that you had that
pretty-
thing. Let's
pretty
talk
well.
G-Flex. I'm done with the Samsung stuff unless you guys want to
Okay.
talk more about it.
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay.
G-Flex, 6-inch 720p display, which kind of blows.
G-Flex.
So the device I've noticed so far, when you have it on a lower brightness setting, serious ghosting issues. So say when you're on Google Play, or say when you're when you're in Hangouts and you have the keyboard up, and then you press back and the keyboard goes down, boom, your keyboard is still there,
no,
like on
really?
the screen, and I'm like, what is this jank? And
It's plastic. That's what it is.
yeah, it's pretty awful. What's one great thing about the display is, sure, it's big. Some people like that, and I'm kind of getting used to it again. It feels better than the Note 3, by the way. But the viewing angles, say you can view the display almost like when your eyes are like parallel to the actual device itself. So viewing angles are great. I've been playing a lot of poker on the phone, and man, this is like the best. This is like the best poker phone ever.
Where did that
you can just lounge. I feel like I'm at the table. I'm so immersed in this curved display. It's a really cool display. It has a great speaker. The camera is not so ooh la la. 13 megapixels, except it is not the same sensor they use in the G2. This thing takes.
Why aren't you like throwing it out the window?
I showed Kellen a picture that I took of Loki, and it was like the most washed out.
It was like
thing.
a cartoon. Yeah, it was bad.
It was
like a cartoon
so
filter. Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah, so hopefully when I'm doing my full review, I'm going to take it out to the park or get some color or something. It's just been so gray here in Portland that it's kind of hard to take like outdoor pictures without all of them just looking like junk. So hopefully we get some sunshine over the weekend and I can take some good pictures. But other than that, the speaker's good. Camera, man, I like the notification light on the back which pops up. I mean, I just wish it was a little bit smaller. And yeah. And that's about it. Other than that, it's okay. Oh, and another bug real quick. I'm sorry. I finally get to vent. Google Play Music just stops randomly almost all the time. Whenever I'm listening to music, I'll be walking the dogs and boom, it'll just stop playing. So I have to open this big ass phone, pull it down, press play again, and then put it back in my pocket. And when you're walking two dogs, one's of them 100 pounds pulling you around, like it's kind of hard to bring out your phone all the time. Oh man, that's why I wish I had Galaxy Gear on this thing so I could just control my music from my watch. But
get yourself a Qualcomm Talk.
Oh yeah, so I can cut the band and waste a couple $100. Ridiculous. I'd never be able to resell it.
I was so nervous during that. I was like, I cut it so that there was extra length, and then it just didn't fit. So I was like, okay, I have to cut it like they told me. Scary.
Yeah, that's not an industry standard for watches, I don't think.
No, it's not. No one should be asking you to cut your watch band. Never heard of that in my life. Anyways.
Yeah, other than that, the G Flex, it's a gorgeous phone. It really does contour to your face. I thought they were just making it up. Oh, in the back pocket, it feels good. It feels like your bum is protected, and I like that.
See, I feel like I would be like sitting on it, like it was gonna break in half if I did.
Well, it's plastic, no breaking.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to. I'm kind of a light kid. Like I'm like $1.50.
Yeah,
so I'm probably
not. I'm a little bigger over here.
I'm not going to be breaking any phones by sitting on them.
Have you sat on it, though?
No, I don't. I'm not going to sit on it.
I was going to say, I wonder what would happen. It's supposed to be plastic and flexy, right?
Oh, it totally, yeah. I mean, I put it
hold
on the desk, and I'm pushing it down. It bends just like it's supposed to. Although don't bend it that way, like the opposite way. You hear like a little bit of a crack. So whether that's normal, I don't know. But
crazy.
It's cool.
But you're reviewing it, so that'll be up shortly.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be up next week for sure.
Sweet. Interesting.
Oh, really good battery life. That's the last thing I'm going to say.
Oh, yeah, the flexible or the curved battery or whatever?
3,500 milliamps. Well, with a under-res, like 720p display, this thing lasts all day. I got a solid 17 hours yesterday, and I was just bossing it up on poker, and it lasts. And to me, that's what's important.
I can't believe you're playing poker on your phone.
Dude, I play so much poker.
Oh, boy. Do you guys want to talk about this Sundar Pichai rumor that's floating around this afternoon?
Yeah, he's Microsoft's new CEO, right?
So the Silicon Angle, I have no idea what the Silicon Angle is. It's reporting that Sundar Pichai, the head of Android, basically from Google, is the new front runner for Microsoft's CEO job. Except that all day yesterday, everyone on the planet said that I don't know how to say his name. Satya Nadella was going to take over, who's been a long time Microsoft employee. I have no idea what to think about that, and obviously Sundar is joining us in the chat, so maybe he'll maybe be able to weigh in the chat.
What, are they sipping rosé or something? You made some
He's sipping Fernet Branca.
Yeah. What a boss.
With Woodside, by the way.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know what to think of that. We did write it up just to toss it out there, because if he leaves, that would be kind of weird to have another Android boss gone already, but I don't know what to think about that. I haven't seen anyone else reporting it. So, yeah, who's going to take over? Yeah, Hugo's gone. Andy Rubes is gone.
It's gonna have to be me. I'm the only one.
Dennis Woodside will come back and just take over or something like that.
I don't know if I like that. He's a little too corporate for me.
Oh, Dennis is too corporate? Come on, he won an MKBHD show.
If he name drops Droid Life, he can be...
Yeah, he can do whatever he wants.
I'm not saying he's a bad guy. I'm just saying, is he the right guy for Android to lead Android? No, I don't think so. He's a good, maybe hardware maker leader, but Android.
Yeah, that's true.
I haven't had a personal conversation with him about it.
What was he doing at Google before? Does anyone know off the top of their... Anyone? I have no idea what he was doing. Dennis Woodside. What was he doing at Google before he went to Motorola? Do we know? I do not know, so... Google it. Google it. Once Tim finds this out, we're going to take some Q&A, since we got some floating around up in there.
Get your questions ready.
Yeah, so if you're listening, Q&A, join in, shoot some Qs up there. We'll take a look. Anyway, so yeah, I don't know what to think about this rumor that Sundar Pichai is all of a sudden going to be Microsoft CEO. I kind of want to say that it's complete 100% BS, but I have no idea who the Silicon Angle is, so... Maybe they know something that the rest of the world does not know. I think it was Bloomberg.
Post the link to the question place in the IRC.
Oh, sure. Well, I have the event page, if that's what you
mean.
Yeah,
that works, I think.
Boom. Get your questions in. I know, this is riveting stuff right here.
Especially if you're listening. This must be just fantastic.
Especially if you're listening.
Hope you're having a good day.
Oh, yeah.
In related news, I do have a Qualcomm talk. Look at this thing.
That's nice.
It's actually kind of nice, I'm not going to lie. So, I'm going to take it off and show it to you while Tim's looking this up. Or did you find out what Dennis Woodside did at Google?
I couldn't view his LinkedIn profile because we're further than 3, whatever away, which is so I requested to be his friend or whatever. I couldn't find what he did at Google. I kind of gave up.
You gave up, okay. Anyways, I did pick up the white Qualcomm talk. It just came out this week, I believe. Previously, it was only the black one was available, and I have too many black smartwatches, so we went white. So we'll have a review of this soon, and we'll also have a review of the Pebble Steel soon.
Nice.
Oh, what up, Fitbit? So, yeah, do you guys want to do some Q&A while we talk about that? Yeah. By the way, the Qualcomm talk is so far probably close to the Pebble as my favorite smartwatch. It's actually really nice. Let's see.
Dang.
Oh, okay, so I'm sorry, I don't know how to say this guy's name. But he asked, do you guys think the Moto X will continue to decline in price?
Oh,
I would say I don't know how much lower they can go, but
yeah.
You know, they did just do
giving them away for free.
Right. They did just do for $299, you know, on was that Monday they did that hour-long promo code special or whatever, so you could get them for $299. I don't know that they can go that much lower than that. I don't think Google really went much. What did Google do with the Nexus 4 that last week or two? Did they drop the Nexus 4 to $199? Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Remember when they did that crazy flash sale? I think it went down to $199.
I think it was $199.
So Motorola could potentially do that. What's that?
For $200, why didn't I get one of those? Dang.
I don't know why you didn't. It's a pretty good deal. It was like the best deal in tech for all of like a day before they sold out. I don't even know if it lasted a day.
It probably lasted an hour or so.
Yeah. So I don't know if Moto X is going to drop anymore. I guess how much more. I guess if they just want to continue to lose money.
Yeah, come on, yeah, sure. Let's let our operating loss be about $1 billion. Let's just drop it to $99 and we'll call it. And hello, Lenovo. But
Yeah.
no,
Hello, Lenovo.
Lenovo-Rola. But yeah, I don't know if they're going to be dropping any more in price. I doubt it. I really doubt it. I think they're already doing great by having it at $70 off until Valentine's Day. I mean, they already do like deals every once a month, it feels like. So, and the device is already going to be replaced by whatever they got coming up next. So, I would just hold off. I really wouldn't buy a Moto X these days. Going forward, you might as well wait for the 2014 flagships to come out before you start buying phones.
Well,
So.
it's still a really good deal on a really good phone. But yeah, it'd be kind of tough, right?
Yeah,
To,
I mean, it just depends on what you're looking for, I guess. So.
Oh, so somebody weighed in. Woodside was the VP of America's operations at Google. Good job.
Like a
Thanks,
boss.
Pete Diddy.
P. Diddy.
Somebody else just had another
We got
question.
Woodside, Sundar, P. Diddy. Who
Everybody,
doesn't watch this show?
everybody, yeah, really. Somebody just asked. I'll post this up here. You sure Google didn't have some agreement in place to keep the Texas plant running under Lenovo? All I know is Lenovo's CEO during the press Q&A said, "We don't have anything essentially to say about the Texas plant. We will evaluate the cost and all of that." And so he didn't say specifically there's a deal to keep it open. He said we'll evaluate it and decide then, which to me, being a Chinese company and they can do everything cheaper over there, means that thing is shutting down. But obviously I don't know that for sure. That's just sort of my my thoughts on that.
Right down here at the bottom, Ice Hunter says, which
Ice
phone
Hunter.
manufacturer do you see leading Android innovation in 2014? Eric, why don't you start that off? Go, go, go.
I mean, the easy answer would just be Samsung, because they're just in such a stable position right now that they can afford to try and innovate. But I would have said Motorola, but now I just man, I don't know. It'll probably be Samsung.
Eric's so sad about Lenovo buying Motorola.
Boring answer, Samsung.
I would say Motorola again. Last year they sort of led the charge there by going back to stock Android and then adding on all these really innovative features. I get the feeling they have more coming for us. And since it's still the same Motorola, at least for the next probably year, I think the new Moto X or whatever they're going to call it is going to have more cool features. It's going to be awesome. I'm going Motorola.
Moto Z.
It's got to be
Moto.
Nokia. It's got to be Nokia. Coming into the Android game with the Normandy, I mean, that thing's going to be a deal breaker. Game changer. But in all actuality, I think I'm going to have to stick with Motorola too. I would take active display and those things like that over anything that Samsung has ever done for anything. Like that one feature alone that Motorola just seemed to pull out of thin air. Genius, and I use it every day when I'm on the Moto X. I'm like, man, this is you pull it out of your pocket and boom, it's on. Like it's awesome. So Motorola, I hope they have a lot more coming. I'm gonna stick with Motorola.
Yeah, earlier, not to just keep talking about Motorola and what they've done, but earlier this week, I grabbed my Nexus 5 again and was playing with the Nexus 5 and was drooling over its 1080p display compared to the Moto X's. But what drove me nuts immediately, and maybe this is because I'm a new father and I only ever have one hand free, even with the Nexus 5, I had to adjust it in my hand to reach the top, notification bar and all that stuff. With the Moto X, like I've got baby in one arm, Moto X in the other, and I only need one hand to use the Moto X. I can touch every inch of the damn screen. I get active display. So it's tough for me to ever put the phone down. Anyways, I'll get off of that whole Moto train.
Circle J.
So Nick O wants to know.
I wanted to
What
answer.
What if HTC came back with a really great phone, the HTC One 2? You guys seem to consider them dead in the water already.
Yes.
You wanted that first, Eric? First crack?
Well, I don't know what they would be coming back, because I would say that the HTC One X and HTC One are two of the best Android phones that we've ever seen, like in Android's short history. It's just, that they didn't sell well.
It just didn't sell well. Plain and simple.
It's
both
like
phones
that
were
really
fantastic.
good movie that you love, but it never got that big. It's like you sit there and you're like, man, this is a great movie, and you can list off all these reasons why, but it wasn't a blockbuster hit, you know. So
they're like an indie film.
yeah,
They
are like
show
an
off they show off their talent so that talent
which is
can
in
leave
like
and go elsewhere.
English captions or whatever. Yeah, I like HTC. I just wish that
wish they
would
could
knock
figure
it
it out.
off on some of their things, you know? Yeah, like why are you putting 4-megapixel sensors in your cameras? Like, knock it off. Like,
Tim, it's an ultra pixel. Come on.
yeah, like it's just not cutting it for me. Like, I want a little bit more, and until I think they go 100% in, like they said they would, on a device, and not be so worried about, say, mid-range or low-range devices, then what do you expect? They're spreading themselves too thin, and the whole update situation, where they can't even dedicate a team of like 2 engineers to make an update per phone that's not even like a year and a half old or whatever with the One X
now
Plus.
you're on board with the non-updates.
The One X Plus.
Huh?
I know. Well, you know what I'm saying, but
Oh.
I just think it's BS. Like, HTC, they need to recognize that people were behind their phones. You know, it may not have been a mass number, but if you have people buying your products, you need to dedicate yourselves to making those people happy so they want to buy your product again. Too many times have I seen in our comment section, because of this update situation, I'm never buying an HTC product again. There's your problem. You got to fix that.
Well, and the Thunderbolt. I think that's another major issue there.
That was Thunderbolt and updates. But you're right. I see that a lot. I will never buy another HTC phone because they're terrible with updates, even though they've gotten a lot better in the last year or so. I will say that I know it sounds like we always write HTC off, and I guess when I look at them, I go, Motorola couldn't do it with Google's backing. HTC doesn't have anyone's backing. I don't know how on earth they're ever going to sort of step back up and become a really big player. You know, they created the One, and before the Moto X came out, I don't know how many publications, reviewers, whatever, said the HTC One's the best. Yeah, best Android phone ever made. Best Android phone. Everyone kept saying this is the best Android phone, and they didn't sell any of them. You know, no one bought any of it. So, you know, Samsung has way too much money to just blow on marketing and putting everything in your face. They sponsor the Olympics every time that happens. You know how much money it costs to be the Olympic sponsor? HTC couldn't do that ever. You know, so
that would be all of their money.
Right. So if Google couldn't help Motorola, I don't know how HTC is going to do it on their own. HTC is probably next to get bought by somebody, and if they don't, they're just going to fold, or I don't know how they can succeed. They can still make cool phones, but you can only not make money for so long before.
I think at this point it's a little too late for a single device to bring them back, into a company that's making money. I think with the One, that would have been it, because you had every site on the planet saying this is the best phone ever. And even when you had every site on the planet saying best phone ever, it still didn't bring them back. So I don't think an HTC One 2 is going to be able to do it either.
Well, I don't know. I think there's the slim chance. I think if they make it better than the One, they
had Robert Downey Jr. and he didn't even help. You can't get a higher name. He's A-list,
from
man.
the One X to the One, and then if they go even better from the One, and then they have to figure out how to market it well. They have to figure out how to do Samsung's marketing without the Samsung budget. If they can figure out how to do that, I think there's a slim chance. I'm saying it's a slim chance.
Yeah, you're talking like guerrilla campaigns, and
they need to figure something out.
The issue with that is that Samsung can crush that type of thing.
Yeah.
The issue is they had the name. It's the One. If you can't sell the One, how are you going to sell the next rendition of it, whether it be good or worse? I mean, I think
I'm just saying
it's too late. I like HTC. I'm just saying it's too late.
I can see there's a tiny, small, little chance, but
there's always a chance.
They have to pull something crazy out.
They haven't given up yet, and that's fantastic. So
yeah.
They're gonna get bought.
BlackBerry
BlackBerry
gonna buy them.
Yeah. Oh, here's something we haven't talked about. Thoughts on the Nexus program possibly ending. So I wrote up a little piece on this. So if you missed this, we ignored it for I think like 2 days because it seems kind of ridiculous. But Eldar Murtazin, I think that's how you say his name. I believe he's a Russian blogger or something like that. Over the years, anyway, Eldar has made all sorts of predictions or heard from sources or whatever. And he's been right enough times that, people tend to listen to him, even though he's also been wrong countless times as well. But what he said this week was the Nexus program is ending in 2015. And the Google Play Edition line of phones is going to sort of take over, although it could have a different branding or a different name by then. And then once the Motorola-Lenovo deal was announced, he said that Lenovo is going to get one of the final cracks at a Nexus device. And, the whole Android world went, oh, my God, Nexus is ending? What do you mean? And everyone asked for our thoughts on it. I don't know that I really have that many thoughts on it. 2015 is a ways off. I think we watched Google give Motorola a 2-second chance and sold them. They could change their mind about getting rid of or keeping a Nexus program or a Google Play line, whatever. I don't know that anyone should try to predict 2015 and where Nexus is going. I actually personally think Google likes their Nexus line a lot. I think the Nexus 7 line has been pretty successful. They sat on their Q4 earnings call yesterday, and I don't know how many times, at least 3 or 4 mentioned that the Nexus line sold really well over the holiday season, including the Nexus 5. They seemed pretty proud of it. So I don't necessarily think it's something they just want to get rid of. The only thing I could think, and I mentioned this in sort of my write-up yesterday, was that if they're going to go, well, I guess what I said was Google needs hardware to push out new versions of Android to. So if they don't have a Nexus line, that means they would have to push new versions of Android to Google Play Edition devices, except the Google Play Edition devices are the vision of other manufacturers. And so it doesn't necessarily highlight Android the way Google wants to, which is what they do with their Nexus line. So it doesn't make sense to me anyway, if you look at the history of Android and what they've done with the Nexus line, to get rid of it. So I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on Nexus potentially going away or not. I don't know. Maybe Eldar has. It sounds like he's a Lord of the Rings character.
He's got the hookup, dude.
Maybe he has, some insider info, and maybe it will go away. I don't know. I guess right now I just don't think it makes a lot of sense. I think the Nexus line's actually been fairly successful for what Google wants it to be. So I don't know why they would get rid of it. And the Google Play Edition line is absolutely stupid and doesn't make any sense. So, well, at least I think that. I don't think Eric thinks that. But I don't know. What do you guys think about this stuff? Did you just brush it off? Would you care if the Nexus line goes away? Do you think it will go away?
I want to say I hope not, and I don't think so. I mean, who really knows? 2015.
Right.
That's a while away.
Right.
And that just seems like some privy info that anyone would have, especially if Google planned on doing that. I mean, the only people I think that would be like the inner sanctum, that would be Sundar right there, who would know that type of stuff. So I'm not going to believe a tweet, that the Nexus program is going to leave in 2015. Why would it? I mean, that's like the Android flagship. I know I would probably get in a huge debate with Ron about this, but like, I think the Nexus program is still really important. I don't think the Google Play Edition lineup is important whatsoever. Like a Moto G GPE, you just proved to me that the Google Play Edition devices are completely worthless. Like there's no point to them whatsoever. So to me, they need the Nexus line. I mean, that's like the one Android phone I think everyone really kind of looks forward to for Google to kind of show off what they've been working on or something software-wise. I know the hardware probably doesn't blow people away like it should, but the software's there. It's always banging. So I think the Nexus program is too important, for it to go away. That's just my opinion, though. I don't want it to. I would cry more so about a Nexus program dying than I would Moto going overseas to China. Like, whatever. Like, but Nexus? Come on now. That's too important.
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense. I don't really think. Like you said, it's a tweet that has like right. It was a tweet.
He does those types of tweets all the time. Like either you totally believe him or you don't. He's been right, probably more less times than he has been right or whatever. More wrong than he has been right. But
well, in his tweet, it had a winky smiley face, some things. It's like I don't know why people just jump to everything this guy says. I get it. People have been right in the industry, and you sort of listen to when they speak. Yeah, digitimes. But it was one tweet. I don't think anyone should be freaking out at this point that the next program's dying. We have plenty of time to get there. And if it does, there's got to be an option. Because like I said, exactly. Google releases new versions of Android on hardware. And it's usually their own hardware. So if they're not going to have their own hardware, which is the Nexus line, what are they going to do? And I don't think the Google Play edition is the way to go.
It would be perfect timing because, say, if Google was really going to start investing in Nest, now would be the perfect time to start thinking about if the Nexus program was going to die, kill Nexus program, and you have your own hardware maker, Nest, come in with whatever products, brand them however you want. Yeah, it's confirmed, exclusive. Nest is it. They are killing Nexus program. We've just solved the riddle. Sundar can confirm in the comments section.
Nest phone.
And I'm spent.
Yeah.
Boom goes the dynamite. So yeah,
I
think it would
talking forever. What else do you guys want to talk about?
I mean, there's so much fantastic news going on. I wish Ron was here because I want to get in an argument right now so bad.
Come on, Ron, join us.
Do you want to talk about the Super Bowl real quick, and then I can spit out an app, and then we can call it?
Oh yeah. Well, first of all, Red Nexus 5 coming next week, right?
Apparently, yeah. Who's this guy? This guy posted the question: do you think anybody will ever buy a Red Nexus 5? I'm like, what?
Here, let's give him the spotlight for a second. Let me find that.
Give him the spotlight.
Give him the spotlight. Oh yeah. Do you think anyone will buy a Red Nexus 5, Jeff? I kind of wanted one, but I have a white one.
Oh man, it looks so good.
And a black one. I really like it.
It looks so hot.
Yeah. So Red Nexus 5 apparently coming February 4th through Google Play. I don't know where else it would be sold, but yeah, through Google Play. Yeah, I think it looks. So I think we were talking about this before we went on air, but
yeah.
I like the bright red that Google does. They do these kind of neon-ish kind of colors, and I like the bright red. I have the bumper case for the Nexus 5. The case sucks, but I like the color of it. And then I also have the bright red sleeve for Nexus 7, and I think it looks nice. So I would totally buy this phone, but I don't really need another Nexus 5.
I do. So if you get the red one, you could send the one that you don't want.
So buy a red one so you can have...
We could work that out.
We could work that out.
Well, I do have a black one laying around the office if you really need one, Mr. Verizon. So yeah, that's coming out next week. So if people want to buy one, Tim, do you want to do an app real quick?
Yeah, I just have one app. It was part of my fantastic top 5 Android games of January. It's called Dose X: The Fall.
Deuce? Deuce X?
Dose? I call it that's Dose, man.
That's Deuce.
Like Dose, too.
Deus. Deus Ex.
D-us. D-E-U-S.
No, it's Deus Ex.
It's Deus?
Yes.
It's not Deuce? I thought it was Deuce. It's not. It's
Deus Ex.
You just said it was...
been around for a while. I mean, that's how you pronounce it.
We're not PC. Well, I'm not a PC gamer. And I know it was a PC game, I'm pretty sure, before it came to mobile. But, so Deus Ex: The Fall. Boy, what a fantastic game for mobile devices. I've been playing it on the G Flex, and again, with that immersive display, I feel like I'm actually in this game. It's a first-person shooter, and it kind of takes place in the future, and it's actually really good. Yeah, Sundar is correcting me in the comments section. Thank you. I'm going to call you Ron from now on. So it's just a first-person shooter. It takes place in the future, and it costs like $6, I think. And but worth every penny. The controls are great. I would suggest that you play it on a bigger display. But if you were thinking about dropping the money on that game because it is kind of higher priced, totally worth it. I recommend it highly. It was #1 on my top games of January. So you can't go wrong. Deus Ex: The Fall. Thank you, Sundar, and Ron, and Eric.
I got your video proof there if you want it.
Oh, thank you.
Deus,
or that it's awesome.
Yeah, that it's Deus Ex. Deus Ex.
Why don't they just put like like I wish they would spell it phonetically.
So it would look cool if it was D-A-Y.
Yeah, Deus. Yeah. Anyway.
Super Bowl predictions? Anyone? Who you got?
I think Peyton's gonna win. I think he's gonna win on a touchdown that Richard Sherman could have taken away.
You really think
and it's gonna be the biggest media story in the world.
Yeah, but Richard Sherman's the greatest of all time. He's the GOAT.
So. And Colin Kaepernick and Crabtree are going to come running out of the stands and go, yeah, Richard Sherman.
What you got?
They're gonna come up to him and push him in the face mask again.
Yeah, being a 49ers fan, this Super Bowl is really hurtful because, man, like, my boy Cap let me down right there, as I knew he would. I was like, as soon as he threw it up, I was like, he's throwing to Richard Sherman's corner, and I was like, well, we're screwed. And then, of course, he tipped it up, and
I've been trying to tell you for like weeks that he's a terrible quarterback.
it's not that he's a terrible quarterback. He's young, immature, and I like that he stuck with it after the post game. He was like, I would make that throw every time. I would never change my decision about it. And I was like, damn right you won it, Cap.
Did you see him the
stand
other
by
day?
it, man.
He's in New York for like Super Bowl stuff, and he
Yeah.
was talking trash about Sherman. Like, let it go. You got beat, Cap. You
He
got
was not-
beat,
He
Cap.
was not
Hey.
talking trash.
All right,
He
break
was
it up, you
calling
two.
Sherman a clown for being a total, complete clown, which he is. I
He was
know.
wearing this like total turtleneck. Oh, he's such
Yeah.
a tool.
I just,
If you
I
get to
don't like
say
all the
that.
publicity he's getting.
Who,
Sorry?
Richard Sherman or Kaepernick?
Richard Sherman.
Oh, well, yeah.
Well, only because I think they completely blew out of proportion what actually happened. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
they did.
just me. But so either way, when it comes to predictions, both teams play two different types of football. Yeah, I think the Seahawks are going to win. They're going to hit. They're going to hit a lot, and they're going to hit hard. And Denver's not going to be able to keep up. And God forbid Russell Wilson gets his legs going, because Denver's not going to be able to stop him. And beast mode's going to be in full effect. I'm sure they're going to, if someone breaks their leg, I'm sure someone's going to be throwing Skittles at them like they were at my boy Bowman. And they're going to be burning Kaepernick jerseys outside, and everything's going to be great. So I got the Seahawks for the Super Bowl, which sucks to say, but I have them. So.
I feel like I have to go Seahawks just because I live in the Northwest.
No, you
and
actually
Portland
don't have
fans
to.
do this weird thing where they adopt Seattle teams. They're like, we're Seahawks fans because we're in the Northwest.
We're Mariners
Yeah,
fans.
we're Mariners
Are you
fans.
kidding me?
All right, so
I
Kellen,
think the
if you could
Seahawks
say-
might. I don't really know because Peyton. I mean, come on. He had like
So
the
good.
greatest year ever in the history of a quarterback.
Yeah.
I don't know. Seattle's defense is tough.
The top defense versus the top offense. Defense wins championships. Your bet would have to go for the Seahawks, man. I mean, Peyton's great. Peyton alone, if Peyton could throw the ball, Peyton could catch the ball and run it and all that, if he could play every position like Brett Favre, then it would be a different story. But Peyton Manning has a tendency to choke, you know, and
Said it. Big words.
yeah. So that's probably what we're gonna see. I hate to say.
I'm going to cite a game. I'm pretty sure it was, if it was not 3 years ago, it was 4 years ago when the Colts were playing the Miami Dolphins down in Miami, and Peyton was only on the field for 13 minutes of the game, and they still won by 2 touchdowns.
Mm.
So
Okay.
you don't need to keep Peyton. He doesn't need to be on the field for the whole game to win.
I don't even know who Broncos backup QB is.
I was gonna say,
Yeah, Brock Osweiler. What do you? Come on.
I'm
man.
not a Broncos fan. I'm sorry.
Is it really Osweiler? Wait, really?
Yeah, he's like 6'8". He's like.
Well,
the
then
tallest
maybe they
quarterback
should
in the
just
league.
keep Manning out of the bowl and put him in. Like, I'm just saying.
No,
Like,
no.
So
I was
random
saying,
though, Brock Osweiler's from Kalispell, Montana. I grew up in Whitefish, Montana, which is like 10 miles from there.
oh, well, he's like
Just a
your
little-
brother.
Just a little fact there.
my citation of that Miami game wasn't because Peyton wasn't on the field for the game. The Peyton's offense was only on the field for 13 minutes.
Oh, Peyton's
Dolphins-
offense.
The Dolphins had the ball for like 30-something minutes of the game. You know,
I
time
hear
of
you.
possession
Sorry.
wins games, but
Yep.
Peyton knows what he's doing. So
I'm not saying Peyton doesn't know what I'm doing. I'm not saying he's one of the greatest QBs to ever play the game. I'm just saying that Seattle's defense and their offense are both very strong. It's going to be a great bowl. I don't care who wins
gonna be,
because
yeah.
neither of them are the 49ers. So
Yeah, I don't really care
Whatever.
who wins, but it should be a really good
I
game
want-
either way.
just for sake of the for a prediction, I want Peyton to win. I want him to get his second ring, and
So people can stop saying that he chokes.
and I want him to come back and retire a Colt. That's all I want.
I still
That's
think
not
that Seattle
happening,
fans
come
are the
on.
worst people on earth. So
They are not. Okay, they're pretty bad, but they're not the worst.
I'm sorry. You
49ers
didn't.
fans are pretty bad too.
How can you say that? We weren't
I'm putting it out
outside-
there.
We've never been outside Candlestick burning Wilson or Lynch jerseys.
Putting it out there.
Like,
Yeah, but
come
all your
on.
fans that are baseball fans burn down your own city when they win things. So
Hello,
I'm sure the
2 out of
49ers would do the
3
same
World
thing.
Series championships. Give me a.
That's
we
not an
deserve
excuse to burn
our
your city down. And I'm
We
sure
deserve
half
to
of those
burn
or
it
all
down.
of those Giants fans are Niners fans. And if the Niners won, they would burn everything down then.
The thing
they
about the
burn
Bay Area-
candlesticks. It's going away anyway.
The thing about the Bay Area is that you have a lot of different cities that have a lot of different team affiliations, and no matter what team is on it, the whole Bay Area gets together in like a massive tornado of this sports angst, because a lot of the teams suck, and then they rally around, say, the Giants or the Niners who are actually doing good, And crazy things happen when those teams win championships, especially the Giants. Man, you get the A's fans over there, and you got the Raiders fans going for the Niners. Like, man, and then you got the hockey fans coming in. It's crazy. Like, San Francisco Bay Area is sports. Like, I mean, they're very heavy. So, and they don't play games. And because we breed champions. That's all I'm saying. Anyways. I think we got a couple Super Bowls. Seattle's got nothing.
It's been a while. 49ers.
Yeah, sorry. At least we've been to the Super Bowl. I mean, Seahawks, they have yet to win.
They went once, I think.
Yeah, they went once. They still got to win though, so we'll see.
Yeah, they do. They've never had Joe Montana.
I'm sweating. I gotta go take a shower. So got me heated.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, everyone, on this Friday afternoon. We will. I think we need to put a poll up on the site for Super Bowl predictions. Who you got?
Should.
But,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but anyways, have a great weekend. Be safe on Super Bowl Sunday, and we will see you next week. I believe regular show on Wednesday. So peace.
Peace.
Adios.
Amigos.